Crimson Desert might be one of the most overstimulating games I've ever played, and I'm going to make it my mission for the rest of this video to convince you that this is, despite everything, a compliment of the highest order.
What do you want?
Pardon my presumptuousness.
In case you're unfamiliar, Crimson Desert is the first proper attempt at a single-player game by Black Desert Online developers Pearl Abyss. It's an action romp with some light RPG elements. Think on the level of the recent Legend of Zelda games, plus a skill tree. It follows Cliff, a former Greymane, as he seeks out his past battle brothers and gets pulled into, well, I can only assume, based on the exposition I've been privy to, a reality-threatening plot. I've recently played about 6 hours of the game, however, and I can tell you for a fact that the description I just told you doesn't do this justice. Crimson Desert is a delightfully absurd, high fantasy rampage with absolutely zero restraint. It is unrepentantly and completely dedicated to the world of cool, which is all the more whiplash-inducing given how the game starts out, with a Game of Thrones-esque mourning of a fallen Greymane battle brother that gets scuppered by the Black Bears, who have it out for Cliff's more honourable mercenary company. The game sustains this tone for about 40 minutes, before a mysterious beggar vanishes in a cloud of light, leads you to a floating technological sky fortress, gives you a cloak of feathers and a grappling hook, and tells you that reality hangs in the balance. I then proceeded to find a person's magic helmet that could read ambient memories and learn how to lift trees with my mind via the help of Fey-like children. Nothing encapsulates Crimson Desert's tone more than a fight I was challenged to by a knight in the town square.
I hope you live up to the legends. I don't aim to disappoint.
If this were a grimdark fantasy, Cliff might have somberly put him down with a warrior's respect. In Crimson Desert, however, I spent 5 minutes learning how to do a jump kick from the guy, stabbed him a few times, and watched as he stood up like a bested antagonist from Dragon Ball Z and praised my strength. It's like if George R.R. Martin had gotten really into Bollywood action movies. You know, the sick as hell ones like Bahubali, where legions of soldiers launch themselves onto the enemy walls via palm tree catapults. That hasn't happened in Crimson Desert yet, but I can tell you there are mechs and a knight who teaches you how to body slam people. This all sounds like it shouldn't work, but honestly, Crimson Desert has done nothing but delightfully tap into my inner 14-year-old's neurotransmitters and set them all firing. And its combat system has me absolutely ravenous to play with my new toys.
Don't test me.
Crimson Desert's combat system is nuts. I've talked about it before, but now that I've played several more hours of it, I can confirm that it is more nuts than previously anticipated. At the event, a fellow journalist marveled over my shoulder at the fact that I developed a completely distinct combat style from them, chaining a 3-strike heavy attack into a palm strike combo that kept my foe stun locked long enough to charge a jumping double kick to the chin. While Cliff's skill tree might change in the full release, at the moment it's absolutely flooded with options for archery, unarmed combos, swordplay, or using the aforementioned grappling hook to hurl enemies all over the shop. Or Cliff himself, as I quickly discovered. Cliff can parry, he can grapple, he can launch himself to the air and do a Red Dead style Deadeye flurry of arrows, he can meteor strike from the heavens and belly flop onto his foes. He can also apparently throw a tree at people. I didn't figure that one out, but it's apparently a thing. This is counterbalanced by the fact that Cliff's opponents have a lot of ways to ruin your day too, giving almost as good as they get, hurling you about with grabs or utterly swarming you with blades. These guys don't wait their turn, I can tell you that. If this sounds overwhelming, that's because it is. But as I played more of Crimson Desert, I simply decided to surrender myself to the nonsense, adopting the same mindset I did while I was playing Dragon's Dogma 2. And you know what? I had a blast. This game is a combat sandbox. Cliff has so many ways to slay people that the objective starts becoming less, how do I dispatch these foes efficiently? And more, how do I dispatch these foes in the most clippable way possible? I felt like how I imagined an overexcited puppy must feel when wrestling with a fellow dog in the mud. The biggest mark of absolutely biblical greed on display from Crimson Desert, however, is the fact that this isn't even the only character you can play. Later in the game, you unlock Damine and Ungka, and while they share a similar chassis with Cliff and have smaller skill trees, they feel just as distinct. I wasn't able to get any footage of these two characters fighting. It was in a part of the preview that we weren't allowed to record, and they were clearly works in progress. However, I can tell you a little bit about them. Damine is a flintlock gunslinger and fencer who can hurl her shield Captain America style, or Black Widow leglock throw enemies a clean 10 feet, or call down spears of light from the heavens. Ungka, meanwhile, is a big bastard with a huge axe and a Barrett-style gun arm. I giggled with abject glee once I realized that Ungka had a grapple-based parry, where if you hit the grab button at the right time, you could stuff a poor sod onto the end of your arm cannon, aim him at the sky, and send him flying. This feels exactly as good as it sounds. This emphasis on complexity occasionally gets Crimson Desert into trouble. You should play this game with a controller, like any self-respecting character action game enjoyer, but boy, is the control scheme crowded. Absolutely no button real estate is wasted here, leading to a boatload of misinputs and a Tekken-style list of combos to memorize. Cliff and his allies control with about as much complexity as any technical fighting game character, which means you'll be spending much of your playtime experimenting or bungling button presses. You can pull off some absolutely absurd nonsense in Crimson Desert, but the price you pay is in usability. You've got a lot of time to learn though, because this game seems downright massive. At the tail end of the preview, I was given access to a few saves, which, alas, I could not record for prosperity, but can in fact talk about. One of which, I was given access to a dragon mount you get later in the game, as well as a flying mech. On this dragon, it took me a solid 5 minutes just to drag Cliff from one biome to the next. On the back of a dragon, which can fly. I obviously cannot vouch for whether or not this ocean is an inch deep, mind, but judging by the sheer amount of objectives hidden in the completionist menu, Crimson Desert seems to be determined to be freaking huge. My 4-hour play session prior to that was spent jogging around a single town and its surrounding territories, and I hadn't come close to cleaning up all my side quests. The slightly concerning amount of busy work Crimson Desert will be throwing at you is bolstered by the fact that this thing wants to be every video game at once. Breath of the Wild style cooking is present for you to create consumables. You can cut down trees for lumber, you can get a GTA style bounty on your head, you can gamble or do wrestling minigames, you can get a faction reputation up or go on bounty hunts, you can clear out outposts, you can go fishing, you can, according to someone a couple of stations over from me, bribe members of the church. For what purpose? It's unclear. And that's just covering the stuff I found in 4 hours. According to prior gameplay videos and discussion from Polar Abyss, this game will also have harvesting, ranching, strongholds management, follower missions, and minigames. So many minigames. The real question here is whether Crimson Desert will buckle under its own mammoth weight, and it's been a question in the middle of my mind. This preview did a decent amount to assuage those fears. Everything I did was basically fun, but I also felt like I was staring down the barrel of a colossal game, one whose devs have Icarus as a role model. It's as though every idea, every feature pitch meeting, every post-it note for "this would be cool" on the developer's desk has been fleshed out into its own full-bodied mechanic, and I'm not sure if it would work if the rest of Crimson Desert didn't seem so hilariously unrestrained. Crimson Desert's mechanical gluttony is somehow charming, and it pairs really well at the moment with its irreverent story, filled with NPCs who will feel well suited to the pantomime. A man who can't stop throwing tantrums over his goat's stolen horns, or a strange interdimensional wizard in a sky fortress all seem like completely reasonable additions in a game where I can body slam a group of bandits from the top rope. It helps also that Crimson Desert still somehow takes itself seriously. This is an utterly absurd game, but it's also completely sincere. You won't find a single lampshade or "so yeah, I do that now" inside. Cliff takes the presence of interdimensional sky wizards in his stride, and the world warps to the constant moon logic in a way that is honestly delightful. So far, Crimson Desert is a game I'm somewhat concerned Pearl Abyss tore from the imagination of a 14-year-old Harvey. It is lab designed to produce hell yeah moments. I cannot say whether the full thing will work. In my 6-hour playthrough, it didn't stop working, but that's a small bite of the everything bagel Pearl Abyss is hubristically constructing, like a Tower of Babel. It is an oncoming tidal wave of unrelenting mechanical complexity and systems where absolutely nobody at any point asked if this was all a bit much, but you will find me there, arms outstretched, bellowing, "Witness me!" with a silver spray paint on my teeth, ready to be swept away, whether that's into greener pastures or to get dashed upon the rocks.